We're doing two NFL player props here on PrizePicks for Sunday, October 13th. Before I get started, you guys take a look in the description below of the video. Hop into the premium Discord, $9.30 per month, 31 cents per day. So I post all the plays I'm making on PrizePicks. We have other cappers in there as well. Overall, you guys are a super positive community. Everyone in the Discord is trying to help each other cash. Also, to mention, I'm not a gambling expert. It's not financial advice. Simply just plays I'm personally looking at making. Hopefully give you guys some insight and analysis to make your own player prop decisions. Again, no one's pressing submit on those parlays other than yourselves. But October 13th, Sunday, NFL football here. Before I get started as well, I want to talk about Daily Grind Fantasy. There's a link in the description below of this video. You can use promo code TUFF. Click that link, use the promo code. You get 25% off your first month of Daily Grind. Now, the Daily Grind Fantasy DFS Optimizer is a tool that I do use on a regular basis to lock in parlays, specifically on PrizePicks, right? So like PrizePicks, Daily Grind Fantasy, they do all the hard work for you. They take the lines from all the major sports books, combine them into one. They've got the fantasy score lines, pretty much any line that exists on PrizePicks, whether it's NFL, esports, golf, tennis, whatever sport you do like to play on PrizePicks, either underdog, parlay play, better picks. You can see all the different platforms that they do offer over on Daily Grind. They have the optimizer for it. All right, so the top play currently on the board, and again, this updates in real time, so maybe by the time you're watching this video, this won't even be the top play, but the top play at the time of me recording this video is going to be Jaden Reed under 14.5 fantasy score. And again, 54.85% odds to hit, which again, in sports betting, like 54.85% odds is considered good odds, right? You would say 50% is usually what the lines are set at. But it's because on sports books, they don't have fantasy score lines. They don't offer fantasy score lines. So essentially, given his receiving yards, reception lines on FanDuel, this line should be set at 14. And I think this one specifically may be a little skewed because it should be only 7.8 on Pinnacle. So I think actually this one might be off just taking a look at this. But like, for example, like if we come down here to Garrett Wilson's receptions, right? It's under 6 is 53.6% odds to hit. It's listed at 6 on PrizePicks, but it's listed at minus 165 under 6.5 on FanDuel. It's listed at plus money at 5.5 on all of these different sports books, right? So again, taking the under at 6 on PrizePicks. Again, super interesting, super resourceful tool, Daily Grind Fantasy DGF Optimizer. Link in the description below. Promo code TUFF, 25% off your first month. But let's get into these two player props here, Sunday, October 13th. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. So the first play that I like, again, I've flipped these plays. This first play is going to be an afternoon game, and the second play is the morning game. But again, if you're locking this video and you're watching this video, it's still the pair. But nonetheless, let's get into it. The first play I'm looking at is going to be Dak Prescott over 19 fantasy score. I'd play this at 19.5. Again, if it does bump up to 19, it actually was at 18.5 earlier today when I was first looking at the board. But this game has the highest game total on the slate, 52.5, which for an NFL game is very high. Home game in Dallas, right? In Dallas is very key here. We know Dak Prescott in the entire Cowboys offense kind of just operates at a higher level when they're playing at home, and that's kind of what the situation is that we have here. But Dak Prescott, we look over on Outlier. There's also a link in the description. Get a 7-day free trial with Outlier. This is just a odds comparison website. Great research betting tool as well. DraftKings minus 145, FanDuel minus 140, Caesars minus 166, BetMGM minus 160 to throw at least 2 passing touchdowns. We look at Dak Prescott, right, this season, or go back to last season, right? Last season, in games when he threw at least 2 passing touchdowns, he was over this line lowest fantasy score line was 16.2, but was actually over this line in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different games last season when he threw 2 plus passing touchdowns. And even going back to last season when Dak Prescott was playing at home, which is why I love this spot, his 4 highest scoring fantasy point games came at home. 32.1, 33.6, 35.2, and 41.9 fantasy points, right? He played Detroit last season, put up 24 fantasy points, 345 yards to the air, and 2 passing touchdowns. It's just an elite spot, right? For a variety of reasons. One being Detroit gives up fantasy points to quarterbacks. We know this. They've had a pretty decent year this so far. They locked up they lock up Kyler Murray. I don't know what went on in this game. I actually took this line in that game. But Baker Mayfield, 19.8, Matt Stafford, 15.7 when he lost Puka Nacua. And then last week, Geno Smith, 22.6. Geno Smith threw for 395 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. Again, if you compare last season versus the Lions with throwing at least 25 pass attempts, you can see they hit. Both offenses are going to be throwing the ball all over the field. And also what's key here is the Dallas defense is horrible. So Detroit should be able to score pretty much whenever they want to, which again should have, a ton of possessions back and forth and having Dak Prescott throw the ball a ton. right? Even this season, Detroit Lions, like I said, giving up the 6th most fantasy points to the quarterback position at 22.2 fantasy points per game. And it's because their run defense is so elite, right? We know their run defense is absolutely elite. Yards per carry to the running back position, the Lions are allowing the 5th fewest runs per carry. And again, these are all compared to teams that have played. They're second, essentially, because they're going to go lower than this, right? But these teams have played one more game than the Lions. The Lions had a bye. So when you take a look at this and you compare where the Lions sit as far as their defense to the running back position, again, it causes for quarterbacks to throw the ball. And no team likes to throw the ball more like the Dallas Cowboys. Most pass attempts in the NFL, second to the Seattle Seahawks, who just played on, Thursday Night Football. So, again, they have one more game played. Dallas Cowboys, 194 pass attempts, a.k.a. Dak Prescott, 194 pass attempts. Dak Prescott probably going to be top 5, top 3 in pass yards per game as well this season. I just like this spot. I think this is a ton of upside. If we look at even Dak Prescott over on Outlier as well, which you can take a look at here on their platform, Dak Prescott fantasy lines, if we take a look at this real quickly, fantasy score, right? We look at this fantasy score line for Dak Prescott. If this will load for me again, I do apologize if there is any sort of lag. My computer is extremely slow for whatever reason. But again, if we look at these fantasy score lines, right, and we look at this total 52.5, and we go to Dak Prescott in games where the game total, is this high, right, where, essentially, let's just say 50 points are scored in a game for Dak Prescott, 50, and it lines at 52.5. Over his last 10 games, 7 of his last 10, averaging 25.3 fantasy points. Right? It's a great spot for Dak Prescott at home. High game total. Should be, essentially playing catch-up all game, in my opinion. I like this spot a lot for Dak Prescott as the first play. The second play here is going to be a receptions target prop. And I got kind of deep in the lab on this one. Just kind of looking at the board all day, looking at different things. It's DeMario Douglas over 5.5 reception targets against the Houston Texans, right? Just right off the bat, we know that the New England Patriots are going to be trailing a ton in this game. Point spread, which for the NFL game is a lot. Low scoring game, 37.5. This is a home game for New England. There should be like a little bit of rain showers as well. We know Ramondre Stevenson is out. Nico Collins is out. But Ramondre Stevenson being out is key here. I mean, they're not really going to be able to run the ball against this Texans stout run defense. And Drake May is starting, which is also very, very key here. Drake May is starting at quarterback here. And what I looked at was Drake May, he's thrown the ball 8 times this season. He came in the last drive of the game against the New, okay? End of game. He comes 16-play drive, okay? Drake May, right? Let's just see this breakdown here. Drake May, hold on. Let me just go back to when he comes into the game. Okay, so he comes into the game. Couple targets to Antonio Gibson, as you can see here. Keyshawn Boutte. All right, Drake May, pass short right, DeMario Douglas for 5 yards. That's 1 target, right? Come down here, Drake May, incomplete short right to DeMario Douglas. That's 2 targets. Another target here, pass short middle to DeMario Douglas for 15 yards. So Drake May threw the ball 8 times in one series. DeMario Douglas got 3 of those targets, right? In a full game, all we need is 6. I love the upside here for this play in what should be an extremely pass-friendly game environment, given how good the Texans' offense is and how poor the New England team is as a whole. They should be trailing a ton. But minus 250 to get 3 catches in this one. Minus 250 to get 2 catches. And we know DeMario Douglas has kind of established himself as that alpha. He's not a super big, powerhouse type of player, but he's kind of soaking up all those targets, right? If we go back to last season, towards the end of the year, he had 5+ targets, I believe, in like 9 of the last 10 games. And so far this season, he's got 9+ targets in 2 of his last 3 games, against 1 miss coming here against San Francisco. But it's a great spot. I think given the Texans and kind of the way they play defense, they love to blitz. They put a ton of pressure on the quarterback, which, DeMario Douglas out of the slot should open up a ton of different things for him. He plays primarily out of the slot, over 80% of the time he is playing out of the slot. And the Houston Texans, like I said, they do allow production to wide receivers, right? They allow the 10th most total targets to wide receivers in the NFL. We know that they have an elite run-stopping defense. We know they love the highest targeted wide receiver this season is Christian Kirk, right? And like going back to sharing with you that DeMario Douglas plays 80% of his snaps in the slot. Christian Kirk plays well over 80% of his snaps in the slot, right? Because the pressure that the quarterbacks do put on, the pressure that the Texans do put on those quarterbacks have to allow for quick throws, low average depth of target, A dot type of throws, which I think puts, wide receivers that come out of the slot in position to see targets. So again, 2 plays for this YouTube video, you guys. Dak Prescott over 19 fantasy score, DeMario Douglas over 5.5 reception targets. I just feel like DeMario Douglas, if we can play the volume, it's a little bit better than playing the production. Please drop a like, you guys, on this video. I'm not going to play DeMario Douglas bumps at 5.5 reception target. If this does bump to 6, I'm not playing it. And then I'll play Dak Prescott up to 19.5, maybe even 20, depending on. But I will leave a pinned comment in the description below of this video, or in the pinned comment section of this video, to let you guys know on that. 2 player props. Please drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and as always, check out all the links in the description below. And as always, let's cash.